You are listening to Unstoppable Actors, the essential podcast for ambitious, unknown actors with me, Louise, the artistic director of Standby Method Acting Studio. And for the last 13 years, I've been taking unknown actors with blank CVs all the way to Netflix dramas, Amazon Prime films, TV soaps, and stage plays around the world. And every week I'll be talking with you and sharing how you can become a paid working unstoppable actor, because you 1000% can. An acting career is doable. Are you ready to dive into the episode? Welcome to another exciting episode. Today's episode was inspired by a post that I saw in a Facebook group specifically for actors, where somebody was asking about how they could let go of the character after filming. They still felt like they were sort of like monitoring how they responded to people in day-to-day life away from the shoot, and they felt as if, you know, that character was quite difficult to shake off. And there was a couple of not very nice responses, I'm not going to lie, quite uncompassionate, dismissive of the person's experience. And there was a lot of really sound advice as well. But it inspired me to do an episode on this because I know this is something that a lot of actors really struggle with. And it's something I've struggled with in the past as well. Like, how do you actually let go of the character in a really healthy way and continue with your own life and immerse back in that and, get on with your life, ready for the next character? So I wanted to do a podcast episode on this because as I've been coaching actors for 13 years, I've come up with a lot of different tools and techniques which have come from the acting world, from method acting, which is what I coach my actors in, and also from having done a lot of therapy myself as well, and also having a real interest in psychology and the nervous system and learning about all these things. So what I need to do before we get into this episode is just give a little disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a psychologist. These tools and techniques that I'm giving you are based on my 13 years of coaching actors in method acting and my own experience of therapy and trialing and testing these out myself and on my students and seeing that they work. But obviously, you take from this episode whatever you want and park the rest. Try them all out, knowing that some may work for you, some may not. Before I get into the episode itself then, if you are new to the Unstoppable Actors podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. It is my absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find this episode very informative, inspiring, uplifting, educational, and if you're returning to the episode, welcome back. As always, I absolutely love having you here. So let's just go straight into it. Let's not dilly-dally around. What I want to say on this then, so letting go of the character in a healthy way is, it's almost like a relationship, isn't it? You have built up a relationship with this character who's become a real person to you. We've invested a lot. We've invested a lot of time, energy, thought, emotional energy into these characters. And so for some actors, it's really easy for them to shake characters off really quickly. For whatever reason, they can do that, and that's fine. And they can get on with life. And then some other actors find it a bit more tricky and it takes a bit more time, and that is absolutely okay. Both are okay. No one actor is better or lesser than the other. We all have our different approaches with this. And as I said, it is a bit like a relationship ending because we've invested that time into this character. So we've got to get back to us. We have to rediscover who we are. And I find that it is a process of every time a character ends, for myself at least anyway, after a production, it is then, a process of going back to me. Who am I? Which is the basis of method acting anyway. That is the foundation. Who am I? When I know who I am, then I can invest who I am into the circumstances of the character. I can lend my experiences to the experiences of the character. So it is a real good opportunity to go back to who you are, refresh yourself on who you are, rediscover yourself again, but now as a more evolved person, having come through this journey with this character and this production, having learned a lot about yourself as an actor, having learned a lot about the craft, having learned a bit more, hopefully, about the human condition through this character. In some respects, it can also be like grieving a loss as well. And that might sound a little bit dramatic to maybe some of you listening to this, but it is, because as an actor, obviously, we're not in a typical job. We're not in the typical 9 to 5 where our job just continues and continues and continues. We are also grieving the loss of a job now. And obviously, we have to go back out and put ourselves back out there and do all of the marketing and find a new job and go back to the craft to refresh ourselves and our skills. We're grieving the loss of also the set, the production life, the other people that we've been working with, who we've created very quickly quite deep bonds with, and then it's taken away from us. So there is an element of grief in this, I would imagine. At least from my experience of the understanding of grief, I do believe there is an element of grief to this and an element of loss. So it's actually not something to be dismissive of. It is something to take seriously if this is something you struggle with. So the first thing I want to share with you is that there are two approaches to this, really, to letting go of a character healthily. And the first one is the nervous system. And the second one is the psychological approach to this as well. And as I've already said, I'm not a therapist. I am an acting coach. I don't claim to be a therapist, but I do hope through my years of having done therapy and been coaching actors and my own experiences with loss, that I can give you some tools and techniques for you to try out that you will see whether they work for you or not. The nervous system can still be stimulated by the character after the production has ended. And we want to bring it back to what's called a parasympathetic state, where it's in a state of homeostasis, which just basically means balance. It feels balanced. It's not heightened. It's not stimulated. So one of the things that I've done, and which I continue to do now, and I help my students with this as well in the 10-week modules, is I've done something called Movement is Medicine. This is an amazing, amazing, amazing class by a woman called Emma Marshall. And it's all based on neuroscience. And what you essentially do, the basics of it are that you put music on and you dance to the music and you physically shake off and stomp out. So the act of stomping to the beat and the act of shaking your hands and your body parts to the beat actually allows you to process, or at least this is my understanding of it, it allows you to process what you've just been through and shake that energy off. Also, as well, putting music on that you like releases those endorphins and that dopamine, so you get that feel-good feeling. So the act of the dancing to the music that you like and then the shaking and the stomping is allowing your nervous system to re-regulate and to get back to a state of homeostasis. And if you enjoy music, this will be a fun activity. Now, I'm not an expert on movement is medicine, but I can tell you that by doing this, I know I've been able to shake off characters in the past, and it's been absolutely brilliant for that, because you can physically feel yourself getting present again. And if we're still reliving the life of the character, we're actually not present. We're still living in the past of that production and living in the past of that part. And it is about getting present again. So try that out. Put some music on, get dancing, stomp first, stomp to the beat of the music with your feet, then start shaking your hands and shaking the character off of you, and then freestyle and just move your body to the beat of the music. It gets you present because you're working with the music. The second way that I encourage my students, we do this in the classes, this is to release any hard-hitting emotions they've been working through. It's also to release the character. It's something called step out. Now, I can't teach you this on a podcast because it's something you need to see visually, and I need to guide you through it and make sure you're getting it right. But essentially, it's about breathing and getting the body moving so that, again, you're bringing your nervous system back to something called homeostasis, which is balance. Now, as I can't teach you the podcast, I can't teach you the step out on the podcast, I can talk to you about something called box breathing, which is breathing in through your nose for the count of, let's say, 4, holding the breath for the count of 4, and then breathing out for the count of 4 through your mouth. So you could do that a few times. You could do the box breathing, and as you're doing that, breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, you can then use your imagination and imagine you are disconnecting from the character by seeing it come out of your body, or however you want to imagine it, and then imagining yourself either putting it in another room or putting it into a jar and telling the character you absolutely loved playing them. So you do this in your imagination, in your head. You love playing them. You've had a great relationship with them. It's been brilliant getting to know them. But now you're just putting them away for the moment, and you'll revisit them in the future through amazing memories. You have to do this because right now it's time to focus back on you. And that's how you can let go of the character in a very gentle way. Again, all of this is based on neuroscience. Some of these are techniques that I have used myself, and they're really, really powerful. So I encourage you to use them. So you're doing the box breathing, and at the same time imagining the character is being put away in a box or a jar or another room, but you're not trying to suppress them because they'll want to come back stronger. You're saying, I've really loved playing you. It was a pleasure. I've learned so much about you. Had such a great time. I'm putting you away for now because I need to focus on myself, and in the future I will come back to my memories of you and look back on them fondly. It's so important that you do stuff like this to be healthy with characters. If you can try that, that will be helping you both on a psychological level and also your nervous system, because you're doing the breathing. So the breathing helps the nervous system reset, and the psychological aspect of imagining them going back into this box or into a room or a jar is helping the psychological aspect of letting go of them as well. The third step is to fully immerse on whatever it is that you love. You have to go back to you, go back to your life. For me, I always feel like after I've played a character, especially when it's been quite intense, I feel like I have to decompress. And for me, that looks like having a really big sleep the day after filming is finished or the day after the stage play is finished. I understand, I work for myself. I run an acting studio, so I'm in a privileged position where I can do that. For some of you, you can't. But what I would encourage you to do where possible, if you can, is the day after filming, take a day off, whether it's, a sick day, an unpaid day, or annual leave, or whatever it is, just so you can have a really big sleep. Because sleep is important. In your sleep, that's where you process things. And I've always found that after a really big sleep, and I keep saying the word sleep, don't know how many times can I say it, but I do have a really big sleep after filming, and then I feel really recharged, I feel really refreshed, re-energized the next day. And then what I have to do is I have to get out in nature. That day after filming or the production's finished, I get back out in nature, because for me it helps me feel really calm, really peaceful, really grounded, really present. And then I'll go to the gym. Now, you might not be a gym lover, you might not be into exercise. For those who've listened to this podcast for a while or who train with me professionally, I am a gym buff. I love it. So I go to the gym. It might look like doing circuits, it might look like doing weight training. It's anything to get me out of my mind and into my body and present again. And I think this is the theme of this podcast, is getting out of the mind and back into the body. I would also encourage you to go and watch comedies. Go and watch a comedy, something that's really funny, whether it's a series, a film, whatever it is, to get you laughing and out of the energy of the character. And then finally, just remind yourself that a part of every character will always live on in you. How can it not? It's like that friendship that ended, or that person who passed away, or that relationship that you had that ended. These things will still live on in you, in your heart, don't they? And from time to time, you do go back to them and you do remember them, but they don't have to be a part of your life every single day, because you have to get on with your life. And post-show blues and post-filming blues are a thing. And that's where I believe it is grief, and it is a bit of a loss that we're experiencing. And there's one final thing I want to offer to you, and for some of you this might be a little bit too woo-woo. You might think, oh my good Lord. It really works for me, but you could do something called a burn ceremony. Obviously, you need to be really careful with this, safety in mind, always, always, always. And in a burn ceremony, you're just going to write a letter to the character, and you can talk about, all the challenges that you had with the character, all the amazing experiences you had with the character, and you just write, you just let yourself free write. It doesn't have to be, spelt correctly. It doesn't matter about punctuation. It's just free writing, getting everything out of your unconscious about the character, about the experience, and then you rip up, well, there's two ways to this. You can either rip up the letter and that's it and then throw it away, or you can rip up the letter and then put it in a bowl or in like a fire pit or something outside and then set it on fire. And it's almost like you're letting go of the energy of that character and you're saying, right, now that's the ending of the character and now I can move on, because you've seen a physical ending, whether it is ripping up the paper or whether it is burning it in a fire pit. But, if you do choose to do the burning in the fire pit, be careful. Safety is paramount. Do not burn yourself. Don't burn anyone else. Don't set other things on fire. For me, that's a really cathartic experience, and it's because I can physically see it going and it feels like I'm letting go of the energy. I go, right, that character's come to a close. And now it's time for me to go back to me, and then I can focus on the next one. And whenever the next character comes, I can put all of my energy into that one without the energy of this character impeding on or imprinting this next character. So there's just a few things to help you psychologically and to help your nervous system as well. Now, before you go, I want to let you know that on Sunday, June the 25th, 6 p.m. till 8 p.m, I have got a free 2-hour online method acting class where I'm going to be teaching you actually the complete opposite of what I've been teaching you in this podcast, which is how to completely transform into the character. If you have struggles with fully immersing in the character, you doubt your character choices, you question what you're doing, you wonder if what you're doing is good enough or whether the director is liking it, or you just know there's something missing that's stopping you from having that edge with your characters, come and join this free online 2-hour method acting workshop. There's 5 free places left at the time of me recording this. There's no replay. You get a script. You don't need to do any preparation on it. I'm going to give you rehearsal time, then I'm going to give you feedback, and then I'm going to give you 4 method acting character exercises that will allow you to completely transform into the character. So directors are looking at you like, wow, 1 minute they were the actor and now they're the character. Is this really the same person? And then, of course, after when you've completed the character, you can come back to this podcast and you can use all these letting go exercises. So if you want to join that, the link is underneath. Do be quick, though, because there are only 5 places left. And I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it's been useful, inspiring, enlightening, educational. I hope you've learned something from it. And I'll see you in the next episode and hopefully in the online method acting workshop. Take care. I've absolutely loved hanging out with you, and I really hope you found this episode inspiring. If you have, please do rate the podcast and hit follow so you never miss an episode, and I can help more actors like you. And come and join one of the most supportive, uplifting acting communities on socials, the Unstoppable Actors Facebook group, where you'll get your weekly injection of inspiration, networking, and receive your free Method Actors handbook so you can become an unstoppable actor.